Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a monthly flip through in my Hobonichi cousin. This is the Avec, and we're going to be looking at my year at a glance, my monthly spread, my weekly spreads, and my daily spread. So if you would like to get some ideas on functional, minimalistic type spreads to use in your Hobonichi cousin, then go ahead and keep watching. All right, I am back in my case that I started out at the beginning of the year in, and I love this case oh so much. So we're back in it, and we're going to really quickly flip to the year at a glance first. So my year at a glance I use as a journal entry index tracker. So each month I have at the very top the number of books that I read, the pages that I read, my planning subscribers, and I also have a reading channel. And I keep an account of my subscribers every single month for my planning channel and my reading channel. So that's what's up top. And then in the main body of the year at a glance, I use as a journal entry index. And I use these little gray dots. If there's an entry that has a gray dot, that means that there is a picture that coincides with kind of what that content or that journal entry was about. So if I'm looking for just a regular journal entry, they'll be here, and then if there's a picture associated with it, I can easily see. These are only going to be things that I think I might want to refer back to. So like my day-to-day, it's a Monday morning, I'm going to work again, I'm not happy about it, that type of thing that isn't really important or something that I need to go back and look at that specific day for. I don't have those annotated. So this is only things that I think I might want to remember and flip back to. So that is my year at a glance. And now we'll go to the monthly spread. So for the month of May, I actually used my first ever kit from Hubman and Chub Girl. I got a bunch of different kits to use for my monthly spreads and then also my weekly spreads. And this is the first monthly spread that I've ever used. And I absolutely love the way that they look. So this is my monthly spread. I do have over here a no spend. So if there is a dot on a particular day, that means that I did not buy anything extra, like extra clothes or going out to buy, iced coffee or something that I don't need. So if I have a day that I did not do that, then I have a dot for those days. And then the days that don't have dots, obviously it means that I spent money on something that was more of a want and more not a need type situation. So this was my monthly spread. And now we're going to get into the weekly spreads. And I've got to find the beginning of May. All right. So we're going to start with this spread. So this is April the 29th, and this goes to May the 5th. And you're going to notice throughout all of my spreads, like I said in the intro, I'm a functional and more of a minimalist when it comes to my planner. So I use my planner to see what I'm doing during my day. So I want to know when I had meetings, whether I had appointments, whether I worked out, what books I read, how late I stayed up. Like for instance, Saturday the 4th of May, I stayed up until 2 a.m. finishing the book Corrupt. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but I like to see kind of what I do with my day. So typically I use Coffee Monster Co. stickers. I have washi that I'll get from various sources, but this is kind of what my spread looks like. So this is the first week of May and kind of had like a blue, gray, outdoorsy type theme. And then we have the next week. So this was my spread using the Hubman and Chub Girl weekly spreads. Now I will say this is probably much more busy than what I typically do, and it's mostly just because I have all these different stickers at the very bottom that take up a big chunk of the page in my perspective. And so this is more busy than what I typically do, but I don't think it's to the point where it's too much for me to figure out like what I did during that day. So I still can see that I went to the dentist, I went to gymnastics, or my girls went to gymnastics. We have the books that I read, you know, kind of what I did throughout my day. So you can still see what's going on, but this is definitely a busier spread than what I typically do. So this was a Coffee Monsters Co. spread. This was using some stickers that I got from a subscription kit. This was like the, I don't know what it's called, spread. I don't really remember what this washi is called, but it's like the taxis and the city, I think it's City Life. I think that's what it is. So we have like a City Life spread using the washies, and then we have the trees and the like little business and all this kind of little stickers everywhere. So this is much more kind of what my days typically look like, or my spreads typically look like. And then this was the next week. This one was very minimalistic. I didn't have any washies at the bottom. I had very little highlighter. I pretty much only had the Tombow for my work and then my sidebar. Everything else was very, very neutral. These are actually little label stickers, but they're very neutral to where you barely can even tell that I used a sticker. So this is a very minimalistic, simplistic spread, but it gives a true representation of what my week is like. And then this is the last week of May. This was my birthday week, also Memorial Day holiday. I ended up getting some new washi from Michael's. So this was me trying out the washi down here. And then I had this very, very bright gold washi, which I'm really not a fan of. I like it when I'm using it, but looking at it in the camera, it doesn't really look all that great in my mind. So, but this was the last week of May. Like I said, very simple, nothing too busy, too difficult to recreate. It's definitely more up my spread and how I like to use my Hobonichi cousin. And now we're going to move to the monthly spreads. So the first page of my monthly spread, I always have kind of like a recap of all of the books and things that I read. I could not figure out why I show that I read 11 books, but when I went to my story graph, which is where I go to document and track all of my books, I'm missing one because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 10 books. I'm missing a book somewhere and I don't know exactly what book it is and why I'm not capturing it, but it bugs me and I have yet to figure out what happened. But these are all the books that I read. In very small writing, you can see my rankings, but this gives me an idea, kind of an idea of what my reading was like during the month of May and then how I felt on the books that I read. So, all right. So the month of May and even into April, I started putting these, like using my Tombow or whatever highlighter that I'm using for that particular 2-day time frame. I've decided I like having kind of a big header to kind of talk about what that particular entry is all about. And I like that because in the past, this is what it looked like. I really didn't know like what I was writing about. You know, if I had pictures, obviously I knew, but a lot of the times I don't want to read all of my entries unless there's something in particular I'm looking for. And I really like having these like headers to kind of maybe draw my eye into what that particular day is about. So I had leadership meeting on site. So I was on site literally all day with senior leaders in all day briefings. And as you can imagine, that was not fun, but I had a leadership on site. Thursday is this week over with. You know, I was ready for Friday. And then we have Happy Friday. Obviously, I didn't have anything really to write. Some days I have a lot that I write, and then some days I don't. I will say that so far in 2024, I have written something, even if it's only like one sentence. I have written something every single day. Some days are much longer than others, but sometimes my life just gets busy and I don't have a chance to really sit down and document, or maybe I just don't have anything to write about, and that's perfectly fine. But I have done something every single day. So I had a Happy Friday entry. I was ready just to get everything over with work so I could start my weekend. My neighbor had a little birthday party, so my daughter was super excited. It was at a trampoline park, so she was ecstatic. We had shopping trips with my oldest. Monday already. Typical. That you're going to see my Mondays are pretty much always like, Monday already. Can I crawl back in bed? And stuff like that. So I did end up getting May the 7th. I got a brand new camera lens. So I have a wide angle lens now, which is not what I'm filming on now. I use the wide angle lens for my reading channel because I do a lot more like sit down, like FaceTime videos. And so I like having the wide angle lens. So I was super excited. I got that lens, arrived, and it's amazing. It is so good. So the lens that I use now is pretty much, or that I'm using, yeah. So the lens that I'm using right now is 100% focused for just planning purposes because it has, there's really no need for me to do a wide angle. So I had a new camera lens. I was back on site on Wednesday, which I was not happy about. We did have on this day, school was closed and we were under liberal leave at work, which basically means that if you have to work on site, like if that's what you're not a remote or teleworker, if you're supposed to go into work, then you basically got a free day off because you could not, the base closed down because we had thunderstorms and tornadoes that came through our area the night of the 8th. Luckily, the tornadoes did not come close to my house. Well, they came close to my house, but they didn't have any damage to my house. There was damage about 10 miles down the road, but school was closed, base was closed. You know, it was pretty easy day that day. So we did have a going away, and my daughter decided she wanted to come with me for a going away for one of my coworkers. My first grader had a performance, like her end of year performance. She got up with a microphone and had to like read from like a script, which she is not a good reader. So that was a struggle as a parent to like not try to climb up on the stage and help her with her words. But she had her performance as she was practicing, running errands. We had Mother's Day. I ended up getting these really pretty flowers from my family, and then I also got cheesecake. That is like my literal default perfect cake for me to have for birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas. If there's any kind of celebration to be had, cheesecake is where it's at. So I got a cheesecake, and then we had like a snacky dinner of like fruit and crackers and all that kind of stuff. Like that's one of my favorite type meals. So overall, very good Mother's Day. Like I said, Monday sucks. Again, that's always going to be a Monday situation for me at work. We had a luncheon on base. Nothing really happened. Wednesday, hump day. And then we have the 16th. This is where things start to go downhill. So I had to go in to get a crown put on my very back molar. I had gotten my tooth shaved down, got a temporary put in, came back like a week later, got my permanent crown, and I had my permanent crown on for literally like 4 days, and it cracked in half. I took a picture of it because this thing was supposed to be indestructible. Like I had been told that it was going to be there forever, and I made it 4 days. So it cracked, and then they had to have me go back in, get another temporary on, and then things go downhill again. So that was the 16th. This is the beginning of me not wanting to do any recording or talking because it got very uncomfortable to try to talk using or having permanent or temporary crowns in your mouth. It's never fun. We have Happy Friday. It was a rainy Saturday. We were running errands on the 19th, set up a garden. We have a new garden back in my house. So we've started a tomato garden with like all the tomatoes, obviously, cucumbers, we have some squash, we have peppers, we have blueberries and strawberries, not strawberries, like raspberries or cherries. No, it was cherries. Blueberries and cherries, just a bunch of different things. So we set up our garden, which is amazing. And then went back to the dentist on the 20th, and I had to go back in because the when my crown cracked, they put a temporary in. And then while I was at work on the 20th with the temporary in my mouth, I was meeting a new contractor that I was going to be managing, doing introductions, talking about my light, the work that we're doing and talking about everything that's going on. And my temporary crown falls out of my mouth. Luckily, it stayed kind of in my mouth, so it wasn't super embarrassing that a tooth just randomly fell out of my mouth while I'm talking to this new contractor, but it did fall out. And so I had to try to play it off, which was, I don't think I succeeded in that, but new contractor was very kind and didn't say anything. And so I had to go back to the dentist to put the temporary back in my mouth again. And then we had dentist visit number 5 because, so on the 20th, got the dentist, put the temporary back in my mouth. And then on the 21st, I had to go back to the dentist again because they had to shave my tooth down again to try and hopefully make these temporary and the permanent crown fit better on my tooth. So I had to go for the 5th time to get my tooth fixed. So I had to list all the different things that I did and when I did that because it was literally back to back to back to back to back. So back to the dentist on the 21st. We had another little first grade ceremony with my daughter, which she was loving that we were there. Hump day again, 2 more days until I actually had to start leave because I took a week of leave at the end of May for my birthday, back on site. And then I had on here, stupid tooth, concerned the tooth is going to come out again because I just never wanted to talk because I was convinced it was going to fall out. And then I started having a sore throat. So not only was I dealing with tooth issues, I also had a sore throat. So I didn't want to talk because of that. We had a nail appointment with my oldest for her graduating 8th grade, going into high school, kind of a celebratory type situation. I didn't have any kind of head or hair. I apparently was just busy, I guess. Memorial Day, tooth fell out again. I knew it was. I had a feeling it would back a few days before. So the temporary fell out literally again. And so that was amazing. And then we had my first official start of leave. Went back to the dentist on the 29th. And that was to put the temporary back in that for the tooth that fell out on the day before or on the 27th because they were closed on the 28th because they had 2 days off for a holiday, I guess. I don't know. But I went back to the dentist on the 29th to put the temporary back in my mouth. And then on the 30th, which was my 45th birthday, I ended up going back to the dentist and they put my permanent one came in on my birthday. So they were able to get me in on my birthday to put the permanent crown back in my mouth. And I will say, it is now, what day? June the 11th, and it is still in my mouth. So this tooth has made it longer than the previous tooth did. So hopefully it'll continue and I won't have any further issues. But I finally got my new tooth in. And then also on my birthday, I got a new pair of glasses. They came in I got a pair of eyewear. I decided to order some glasses with 2 new frames. I got kind of a dual black and blue color frame or face or whatever you want to call it. And then I also got the Deathly Hallows from Harry Potter. I got that frame as well. So, and then the last day was the 31st of May. I ended up getting some new Muji pens, which is actually what this one is. I bought a 9-pack, so I got 8 different colored pens, and then I got a new black pen for the Muji set. So I got new Muji pens, and this was also my very last day of leave, and so I was not happy about that. And this was actually the day that my oldest got a interview for her very, very first job at Culver's fast food restaurant. So she got her job and she had to go for the interview, and so she was so nervous, and it was a good time. So, but that is my month of May. It was an ordeal between I think there was a total of 7 different dentist visits, all due to one tooth. One tooth caused me 7 different dentist visits and a lot of heartache. Needless to say, very, very, very glad that May is over. I'm very glad my tooth is still holding strong, and hopefully it will continue to hold strong. And the month of June, hopefully, crossing fingers, will be so much better than May was, because May was an ordeal. So with that, thank you so much for watching. So if you made it to this part of the video, go ahead and drop me a comment down below of like a tooth emoji. Just let me know that you made it to the end of the video. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you've not subscribed, please make sure you do so. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see everybody in my next video. Bye!